Hello, everyone. Welcome to Game Junk Prototype Episode 10, coming at you Friday, May the 1st. We're in a new month. We're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed announcements, Xbox Game Pass, Last of Us 2 changing release dates and other shifting dates, and some other stuff we played. My name is Frank.
My name's Sean.
My name's Andrew.
So, how you guys doing? Busy gaming week for everyone?
Definitely not. But there is some news, so hey, can't complain.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but next week, next gen's really going to start heating up with, Xbox apparently is having a big games reveal on Thursday, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
We'll definitely have some stuff to talk about. We might as well get into the first thing, which is an Assassin's Creed Valhalla announcement happened this week. It feels like a little spark in a way to this next gen fire that's going to start next week. I actually thought the way they revealed it, although I would never watch the entire thing, was pretty interesting. The idea of making artwork or marketing artwork and how that's done in Photoshop. That was kind of a cool take on a slow reveal. And I mean, I watched it for 2 seconds, but I thought it was an interesting idea. Just a cinematic trailer so far with some screenshots. Cinematic trailer was impressive visually. I've said before many times, cinematic trailers mean nothing to me. They're not made for me either. So not really moving my needle. Screenshots looked pretty doctored. I got to be honest. They did not feel like legit screenshots. And I've seen comments to the same effect. I'm no artist. I can't exactly say why, but they felt a little manicured, so to speak. I am excited. I think that the Viking universe is interesting. I've been meaning to go back into Origins and or Odyssey, and I've got a lot of time on my hands these days, and I'm crushing 60 hours of games like it's nobody's business, so it might happen. What do you guys think? Excited for this game? Are you Assassin's Creed fans?
Well, I can say that, I mean, the only one I've really played for any length of time was Black Flag, I think. And I said with both Odyssey and Origins that I was like, okay, these settings are pretty cool. I'm very tempted. Maybe this is the time I really get into Assassin's Creed. And it still didn't happen. I think for me, I mean, the games are just so huge that they're intimidating. But the Viking setting is cool as well. And I mean, it is, I don't know, I'm intrigued. Although the one thing that I took away from the trailer, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, and maybe this is based on not knowing enough about where the Assassin's Creed franchise is at this point, but there's a lot of large-scale battles in that trailer. And I always thought Assassin's Creed was more about kind of sneaking around and, being in a city and dealing with people and not so much these giant battles. Is that not the case?
I heard they announced that you could do raids of villages, sort of like along the English borders, I guess, or sea. So I guess that's probably what they're trying to represent there. So obviously that's a new mechanic, because I'm pretty sure that was not, I guess they had kind of big battles in Odyssey, but nothing like we're seeing in that from what I recall. I mean, I haven't played all of Odyssey.
Yeah, I haven't read too much up on it. Maybe that is the new take on it, kind of in the way that Black Flag introduced the ship battles and stuff like that. Maybe that is a unique aspect to this game, which could be interesting. I started playing Origins, and I started playing it on Xbox One, and they decided to move the combat to the shoulder buttons for that game, as opposed to the traditional, buttons for the old Assassin's Creed franchise. And on Xbox, I hate the bumpers, and the bumpers were your primary combat buttons, and that really soured me on that game. So if I go back to it, I'm going to play it on PlayStation. Having played Sekiro and other games, they use R1 and L1 for combat a lot, so I think it would be a bit better. So I am curious to get back into them. I don't know how a full scale, like large battle system might work, but I mean, there's design ways around that, right? It's just the same way movies do it. You focus on one-on-one combat with a lot of action going on in the periphery that is kind of meaningless and just kind of accents things. So, I don't even know if that's that big of a change, whether they'll actually incorporate that into new mechanics or systems. I'm intrigued. I think
I personally,
maybe God of War was an influence as well. I mean, this game must have been in development for a while, but I'm assuming that's a pretty big factor.
Yeah, maybe.
I personally am not too excited for it. I currently have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Origins, and Odyssey installed and have not touched any of them in a long time. So I've got plenty of Assassin's Creed to get through. And I really enjoyed Origins and Odyssey from what I did play. I probably put 5 hours into each about. And like Sean was saying, they're just so big. It's just so daunting of a task that I don't really want to take on another one, even though there's been this break. I still haven't found the time to go and play the old ones.
Yeah, I've said this about Ubisoft games a lot, where very similar map and design, overall design to the games with the open world maps, and obviously themes and camera perspective change between a lot of the games, whether it's Watch Dogs, Far Cry being first person, Assassin's Creed having a little more verticality and map exploration. They all have some unique element that they bring to this pretty standard map exploration and expansion throughout all their different game series. And I just, everyone, I like it. I just can't play every one of those games. I just kind of get sick of it. But then every once in a while, I'm really in the mood for one of those games and I do everything in them. So Black Flag, I did everything in. I really liked Far Cry Primal. And I seem to be one of the few people that liked it that much. And I did everything in that game too. So I feel like I'm due to fully explore an Ubisoft open world game. So I'm just, maybe the fans can chime in here on comments. I want to know whether Origins or Origin or Odyssey is better. I think I'm more into the Egyptian theme, like that interests me more. But if one is a better game, like hands down, it might influence my decisions. But my gut would be to go back and try Origin.
I would also be curious from sort of the longtime fans if they're just kind of getting tired of this franchise. Like, I think, didn't they skip one last year? Did they?
Well,
not
they've
put out
already made like concerted efforts to, where was it an annual franchise? They've taken longer breaks or 2 years between each game. So
right.
I think that was already a concern. I don't know if it is anymore.
I mean, it's still, to me, it still has to be a concern just in the sense that it's not like a crazy shakeup of the franchise. It looks like more of the same, really. So I don't know, like skipping a year is not necessarily letting a franchise recover from fatigue.
But you have to admit, and this is one thing I do admire about the series now, in the past, it was fatigue within very slightly changed settings, right? There was the whole Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy,
right? Yeah.
Basically taking place in the same environments or similar environments. Even Unity and what was the twins one that you just mentioned, Huck?
Syndicate,
pretty similar settings, at least to my recollection. But each of these ones feels like a very unique place to go, different characters, wildlife. So I really like that. The one game I'm interested to revisit, even though these are all, the chance of me revisiting all these Assassin's Creed games is next to zero. But Assassin's Creed 3, I kind of like the American, what would you call it?
wildlife, or I guess
old times or something. Does that sound right? I don't know.
The revolution. I guess it's not. I guess it'd be like
Isn't it?
Pilgrims type time frame, isn't it? I never played that one actually at all.
I played it a bit and I really liked it. I liked the forests and the snow and all this stuff, but I think I was again just burned out on those types of games at the time. But I do appreciate this huge shift in locations each time they do a franchise. Like that is undoubtedly a huge improvement. And something to be applauded.
Definitely. A lot of work.
Sean, what's going on? You look like you're looking at something. You're deep in thought.
I was just looking up when the time period. Yeah, so before, during, and after the American Revolution, 18th century. That was Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, I just don't know what the official term for that is. Is there a common historical term for that time period?
American Revolution. That's what it says.
Yeah, probably.
America, baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, if there's not a lot of games coming out, which there isn't, I don't think, that makes me even more intrigued for something new on next-gen consoles that are taking advantage of them. So they've got that advantage. I guess the other interesting thing is similar in design. Watch Dogs Legion is presumably going to come out around the same time. I don't know if that, I know it got delayed at some point. I don't know or maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't want to say that if it's not true, but they might want to stagger those a bit more. I'm not sure. Or maybe their goal is to appeal to, different market groups with the style of those games. I'm not sure.
Do you think they're going to do, like with Black Flag, if I remember correctly, did they not release it on like the current gen, but then have like a way to upgrade quickly?
Yes, they did.
Or cheaply to the next gen version. I can't remember how that worked exactly, but I think I did that.
You bought the old code, you bought the old game, like the PS3 code, I guess it would be, and then it came with a PS4 code. And I think if you paid $10 or something, you could upgrade, but you only had like a month or something like that to upgrade. I remember because I did that, but then didn't get a PS4 for like a year. And when I tried to upgrade, the code was no good anymore. So
I guess one thing while we're on that topic that we should mention, the branding of the trailer, all Xbox centric, Xbox One X series, and also a huge part of at least the press articles that came out was that if you buy it, well, it's coming out on current gen and next gen consoles. If you buy it on Xbox or in that ecosystem, you buy it once, you get it for both consoles. It's not like two different, I mean, it might be two different game IDs, but you own both automatically. And I'm assuming save games and achievements and stuff like that transfer over automatically for whenever you want to upgrade. Very similar to some of their cross-play stuff with the PC version of Xbox Game Pass. So an interesting thing, I'm assuming Sony's going to follow suit, would be my assumption. I don't know if it's pure speculation, but they tend to, it seems like it would be a mistake not to, because that infrastructure is kind of already there with the regular PS4 and PS4 Pros. So I would expect the same, but I mean, it's good for consumers regardless.
Yeah, but that cloud save on PS4 is PS Plus only. So you can't, like with Xbox, the cloud saves is automatic for everybody.
Yeah.
So on PS4, you have to pay for it. So that'll be harder to upgrade in that regard, at least to do the save file transfer.
Yeah. But I would be surprised if you bought it on PS4 and didn't get it on PS5. I would be shocked, utterly shocked.
It's hard to say. I wouldn't put it past Sony to not be able to figure that out.
I will bet any amount of money with anyone that doesn't have insider information that will be the case.
It's just got interesting.
Anything else to say about Assassin's Creed or the Xbox back compat or whatever you want to call it?
I don't think so.
No, not really.
Did you guys like the format of the announcement, the all-day Twitch artwork?
It was a cool idea. I think the problem with it, I mean, I didn't really watch much of it. I checked it out briefly, but I think a lot of people were saying that at a certain point, it kind of became obvious what he was painting, right? Like there was things in the background. You kind of knew what the setting was. And I guess that's, inevitable with artwork that's being painted over like however many hours. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea. Something that people do tune in to watch artists create over time on YouTube and Twitch. So it's kind of a cool idea.
And I didn't even know it was happening. So no comment.
Maybe they didn't get the word out.
Moving along, Xbox Game Pass. Now, our friend of the podcast, Jay Cheel, he had got Xbox Game Pass, right? And was playing Alien Isolation. I think he said he was canceling his Game Pass.
Yeah, I think he just did the free month or whatever, right?
Yeah, the $1 a month. And, then I'm assuming he wants Streets of Rage 4. I didn't even know that was coming out on Game Pass. That launched on Game Pass. That was news to me, along with Moving Out. And I think this week Gears Tactics came out on PC exclusively for Xbox Game Pass. But, I mean, an article came out talking about the impact of Game Pass, 10 million subscribers, increased multiplayer gaming in every region across the world. And it seems like it's been a success so far. Now, I don't know how much of it is the free trials, and I'm sure some part of it is like the deal I took advantage of. I have 3 years of it, and I mean, I'm going to continue it anyway, because to me, I would buy all those games and it's cheaper for me to do this. But for people who don't buy a lot of games, how many are using that legacy advantage? Just to put it in perspective, on Red Flag Deals, which is a deal forum in Canada where people post deals, the Game Pass upgrade deal has been active since it happened for about 6 months or something like that, I think. And I think its upvote is like plus 500, which I've never seen on anything ever. So word is getting around, and gamers, they like to take advantage of deals and tell each other about it. So I'm assuming that is a factor. Obviously, Microsoft is hoping that people don't cancel or just get some automatic retention, but 10 million is a pretty big number. I was pretty surprised by that. What did you guys think?
I agree. That's a big number. I also, to speak on the Streets of Rage and Moving Out thing, I didn't realize they were coming either. So I wonder if that's a new tactic they're taking to do these stealth launches to try to drive either people to Game Pass, or possibly it's a tactic of the publishers to try to get some maybe pre-sales or other sales before, they drop Game Pass. Because if you announce you're launching a brand new game on Game Pass and you're not a Microsoft, first party, obviously no one's going to pre-order your game. So It seems like it's an interesting tactic. I wonder if they're going to continue it. And it does make it interesting to see, but will it backfire where then people just don't pre-order, wait to see if the game will come to Game Pass and then buy it after if it's not? But it's interesting.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm sure I don't know what the compensation deals are, and I'm sure every game comes up with their own compensation deal with Microsoft. But yeah, I mean, if it's the right number, if the number makes sense, then in theory, the exposure of Game Pass, and I'm assuming it's if they actually play your game or download it, equates to some amount of money that they get for. There might even be more details on how long they play and stuff like that, but it might even make them more money. I don't know. So,
yeah, I mean, I could say from my own experience. So, Journey to the Savage Planet got added to Game Pass this past month, and it was on sale the week before it got added, and I bought it, and then it came to Game Pass, and I was like, oh, come on. But to Microsoft's credit, I contacted support, and they gave me my money back for that. So Wow. It's kind of cool.
That is cool. I'm surprised.
Yeah. But I mean, that is something that I'm thinking about now. When I see something on sale, if it's something that's just, been out for a couple months, I'm like, could this end up on Game Pass? You never know. So
That's
yeah, I mean,
the rare counterexample for an insane person like myself, which is I won't even buy it on Xbox, assuming it's going to come to Game Pass at some point, and I always buy everything on PlayStation 4.
oh, so you're still buying just on PlayStation 4 instead?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I'm like, well, it's going to come to Game Pass eventually, so if I actually, want to play it on Xbox, I want the trophies anyway. I'm in a PlayStation phase, so I don't buy anything on Xbox anymore. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a pretty good deal. And I have to admit, like the free trial thing, kind of the way it was introduced, I think a lot of people thought it was some loophole they were taking advantage of. But obviously, Microsoft knew what they were doing. They got people hooked in. And I mean, I could say for myself, I think I have it for another year and a half and paid for it because of that deal. But I'm already thinking when that's up, I'll pay for it. It's worth it because there's been a lot of attempts to sort of do Netflix for games, and I guess both Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus were kind of the start of that. But they weren't really the same as like a Netflix type thing because they were just a couple of free games here and there, and they weren't like new big releases. But now that Microsoft is putting all their first party games on there, I mean, if you're planning on buying a couple of those games every year, it's already worth it. So it's pretty huge, I have to admit. And I'm curious if Sony is at all thinking about doing a competing thing or if they just don't care or don't need it.
xCloud could be a game changer too. So I need this thing to come to iOS devices already. Like, what is the deal?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would say Apple is the deal.
Yeah, it's definitely Apple. But they did have a beta working at some point with just the Halo collection. I applied a long time ago, haven't heard back. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the like Sean was saying with the first party thing, that is really crazy that they're gonna, especially since they just bought all those studios, so they're gonna be putting out, probably at least 4 to 6 games a year for free that are higher end titles, and like you think about it, like the new Halo is gonna come and just be free, which alone would sell 5 to 10 to 15 million copies, which is an insane amount of money to just be giving up for free and assuming people are going to subscribe to Game Pass. I mean, obviously they'll still get some of those sales, but you would think that quite a few people would sign up for Game Pass to get it for a lot cheaper price, play it. Obviously a game like that has multiplayer, so it's designed to sort of like keep you hooked in. But yeah, it just seems like to release big, huge games like that on a Netflix service you wouldn't think it would be financially viable, but obviously they've run the numbers.
You eliminate 30% markup for retailers, right? They get everything. They're publisher and distributor, so that's not that bad already. As long as they keep it for 2 months or 3 months, it's almost a break even. And then if they keep it for even longer, even better. Like they're just making money. So it is.
Yeah, but that's on just one title.
Sure, yeah.
You're talking about all of them.
Oh shit, I had another thought too. It'll come back to me. Sean, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm very curious about the economics of this. I don't think we'll ever, I don't even know how much developers really know about, what goes on behind the scenes and how they decide how much certain studios get paid for their games on that service. But it seems super complicated. I think ultimately Microsoft has looked at this as a way to get people into their ecosystem. They're obviously playing catch up to Sony, and this is just a way to convince people, you know what, maybe I'll buy an Xbox and I have all access to all these games for a really good price. And then slowly people just start playing Xbox more and choosing it over Sony.
Yeah, the one I remember what it was now. So like friends of mine who have kids or anything like that, and they just want to buy a game console, or I tell them to get an Xbox and get Game Pass or EA Access. Like, it's a no-brainer if you're not a hardcore gamer per se, or you want a system and just your kids always have something to play, or check out something new and you don't have to keep buying games. I mean, you got the perfect excuse. You got 100 games. Go pick one. Go play something. Like, for like a family, just picking a console, that also seems like a huge advantage to me.
I might have to buy some Microsoft stock so I can get in on all the insider financial calls. then I'll report back.
Speaking of that too, do you guys do Microsoft rewards at all? Like, do you pay attention to that stuff?
I did. Actually, that's how I got 3 years for free. I had enough rewards points that I just bought 12 months of Xbox Live with them, and they all converted to Game Pass. So I got that for free, basically. Although I probably bought 100 games in the process to get those points.
I'm paying attention to it now that it's like kind of tied into the Game Pass. They have those like rewards now, so I always get the pop-ups. So I've been submitting them every week or whatever you have to do to reward them. But I don't have. I mean, I've got like 2,000, and I think you need 7,000 for a free month of Game Pass. So, or a free month of Xbox Gold or whatever. So I mean, I'm far away, and I'm only gaining like, I don't know, 1,000 every other week or something like that, maybe if that. So I've just recently started.
It's just another thing that could keep people hooked into their ecosystem. I mean, if I'm not paying that close attention to it, but if I know just by playing games on there, I'm getting points that will eventually, result in Xbox gift cards or free subscription stuff, then why not?
I think it's pretty cool. I like the app and the concept. I wish, more consoles had it. I wish Nintendo had anything.
Well, they used to. They kind of still do, but it's terrible, right?
Oh, I mean,
Club Nintendo, My Nintendo, whatever it's called.
Apps, not just rewards, but obviously achievements or something like that for Nintendo.
Right.
Nintendo's got to catch up. It's brutal.
Yep.
All right. Last big news. Last of Us official release date, or I think semi-official. What was it? I don't even know. June 13th or something like that.
I want to say 17th. No, 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
So as a result, Ghost of Tsushima pushed to July, not wanting to compete too much. So that's probably sooner than I expected Last of Us to come out, and it's right around my birthday, so that's exciting.
I just saw some breaking news to dovetail onto this. The leaker has been identified.
What?
For the leaks?
I was about to get to that next. So
were you? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
The spoil it. Like, is this leaks with plot and all that stuff? And
yeah, that's the leak that it's talking about. The person who leaked that stuff has been identified, apparently.
Okay, so I haven't looked at any of the leak stuff. I avoided it.
Neither have I.
I don't want to know anything about the game. So apparently there's plot spoilers and who knows what other types of spoilers. I've not looked into it at all. Now, when they identify, do they say like whether it was a Naughty Dog or Sony employee or something like that? Or?
So I just saw on Polygon that a Sony representative has told Polygon that the leaker has no affiliation with Naughty Dog or Sony. So it's some hacker that somehow got the information.
I mean, if they're working from home, it could be a family member, right?
Sure, I guess so. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I had heard that already. I thought, I guess that they do know the identity. There's still some sort of investigation happening. But the initial report was that it was like an ex-employee who was trying to get back at them, which is an interesting thing. Just that is, people just automatically assume that because, they're thinking that that's putting out spoilers like that is going to hurt sales of the game or something like that. And I don't know if that's really the case. I feel like if anything, it's just hurting fans of the series. It's not going to hurt sales. But apparently the Assassin's Creed reveal stream, apparently in the chat for that, it was just people constantly posting the spoilers for The Last of Us 2.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, that's why, I don't know if you mentioned this, Frank, but I think that's why they set the release date, because they realize they have no choice now. It has to come out as soon as possible, because it's out there and people are using it as, if they just want to prank someone or piss someone off, they're just posting this stuff out there.
I did hear of someone spamming Patreon like comment section with them as well, and the person had to get banned, or the Patreon person had to ban them because they just kept spamming. So it's crazy that people are then like one-upping the troll of the leak, to the next level.
People are fucked.
Yeah, I remember a while back, I guess it was a few years ago now, one of the Marvel movies, someone, I guess, had seen a press screening or something, and they were just going around posting on film websites and on film Twitter, like plot spoilers. I can't remember if it was, I want to say it was maybe Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier. And it happened to me where somebody just tweeted at me, and I was going through my Twitter mentions, and it just, boom, like, one quick sentence with all the spoilers for the movie right there, and you have no choice. You can't avoid it. So it was weird, the idea that someone was almost kind of like just taking that and using spoilers as a way to fuck everyone over just to cause shit.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. I think the same movie or something like that. Only person I've ever blocked on social media in my life.
Yeah. But the one thing I wanted to mention is, or I guess kind of ask you guys, do you think spoilers are as big a deal for video games as they are for movies? Because, I mean, there's always a debate over whether spoilers really matter. Like, people get super sensitive about it, but then there was some study that said that if people know ahead of time what's going to happen, they actually enjoyed it more, the movie more, which I don't totally remember the specifics of that. But the thing is, with games, you're still playing through it yourself, right? So there's still an inherent value in the challenge and the mechanics of the game. It's not just about the story. Whereas with movies and books and things like that, it's really just about the story.
I would say it's probably
just about the story, Sean. It's not about the mood and atmosphere and holy cow.
You know what I mean.
What are you, Spielberg, a storyteller? We're all just storytellers. And guess what? You think Corey Balrog is it? What's his last name?
I think it's Balrog.
Balrog,
something like that.
He's a storyteller, Sean. He wants to tell stories, and you spoil those stories, and it's going to have an impact. I'm being sarcastic, but I do think it is a problem. If we want game stories to matter and be good, then spoilers matter just as much as any other storytelling form.
And I think in this case, it definitely does. Like, obviously, if someone went and spoiled the ending of like Citizens of Earth, no one would care. But like in this case, where it's like a sequel to like arguably one of the best video games ever made, and the story is a heavy influence on the game, and there's like twists involved, and like you're extrapolating the history of the world, and there's all that lore involved and like what has happened, people probably want to experience that for the first time without any like preconceived notion of what's going to happen. And so I think it's probably equivalent to spoilers for movies, especially movies that have twists, like pretty substantial twists in them. If people went around and spoiled The Sixth Sense, it would probably have a bigger impact than if they went around and spoiled Winter Soldier, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that was a big deal at the time, people getting spoiled for that movie, because it wasn't a movie that was a big hit to start, but it took a lot of time, and then just it was a lot easier for spoilers to get out there and for people to talk about it. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting, we kind of talked about this a while back too, with like the idea of Let's Play videos and, whether it matters if you're spoiling the game for yourself by watching the story on YouTube, but then there's still something you get out of playing it yourself that you don't get from YouTube. I don't know, but either way, it sucks. It sucks that's a thing that people can do, and I know people have been. There's ways you can filter out certain keywords on social media and whatnot. I mean, Frank's already protected. He's just not even on social media, so. But you never know.
It's a beautiful thing.
I think you have a point though about games being deeper. So there is like that other aspect, but I still think that if people play games for the story as well, that it could be spoiled just as easily as with movies. But you're right. It does definitely have that other aspect of gameplay and, leveling up, becoming like a master of the craft, so to speak, that movies don't have.
Right. Okay, I just got to let you guys know my iPad's about to die. So if I do get kicked off, I'll just come back with my phone. So continue on without me.
What the fuck?
All right.
It was at
Amateur
30%.
podcaster
Now
here.
it's already at 4%. I don't know how that happened.
When you started, it was only at 30?
Yeah.
That's not much.
I thought that was more than enough for a 45-minute podcast, but apparently not.
Brutal. Okay. Anything
Let's get
else on that
Sean's
topic? Better move on. Sean's.
Yeah. Let's get Sean's what he played out of the way.
Don't worry, he didn't play anything anyway. Doesn't have to.
It's pretty much true.
So, what we're playing? Anything, Sean? You want to go first, just in case we do lose you?
I can briefly talk about Moving Out, which we touched on last week, and yes, it's on Game Pass now, which was a pleasant surprise. And I played it a bit with both the kids and Alicia, so I got to do some couch co-op. We didn't get a chance to try it online yet, but it's pretty fun. It's very easy to pick up and play. It's you're moving furniture from a house to a moving truck. There are obviously bigger pieces of furniture that require multiple people to lift. And, so there's some strategy in how you move those and getting them around corners and through doorways. There's also some strategy into how you pack the truck, because sometimes you can't fit everything in there and you kind of got to move things around and shove them in tighter. And then there's, from what I saw, I played the demo and I played like the first 4 or 5 levels of the actual game now. And it's just interesting seeing some of the obstacles they throw in your way. Like one of the levels has like a ghost wandering around. There's like pets and stuff that get in your way. And then there's some levels where there's like a pool and you have to kind of go all the way around to get stuff. But if you have multiple people working together, you could like throw things across the pool to do it faster. So there's little strategies like that involved, but it definitely has the same feel as Overcooked. I don't know if we talked about this or if this was after the show, but it's the same publisher, different developer. So the look and feel is definitely similar. And I did try the single player. Kind of weird. There's just no furniture that needs multiple people, obviously. So, you're just picking up stuff and running as fast as you can. There's less strategy. If you're only looking at playing it single player, probably not worth picking up. But to me, it seems like it's a pretty surefire hit for, parties and couch co-op with friends. And I was enjoying it.
Cool.
I was just checking out Metacritic. Metacritic is not its friend right now. It's got a 74, so I guess that's pretty good. But
yeah, I think the question is the depth. I don't know by the end of the game, how many different things they can throw your way. Maybe it'll get old after a while, but I was having fun with it.
Cool. Huck, anything?
yeah, I just, not too much, but I briefly got a chance to try the other 2 games that came to Game Pass this past week, Gears Tactics, and I played the first couple stages of Streets of Rage 4 just kind of before the podcast, and I'm really enjoying both of those so far. Gears Tactics is basically XCOM with the Gears of War skin on it. The new XCOM, and it's really good. Like the Gears sort of world environment and enemies and cover-based shooting sort of style of the game really lends itself well to a tactic style game. They changed up a bit from XCOM. I believe in XCOM you had essentially 2 movement points or action points, and for Gears Tactics you now have 3, so you can move a little further or shoot a little extra or do any sort of other move. And some moves have quite long cooldowns, so like the frag grenade has like an 8-turn cooldown, so you really gotta, be careful with when you use that. And yeah, it just really nails the XCOM gameplay, which I really enjoy, and I'm loving it. I mean, I think I only did 2 or 3 maps or battles or whatever, but I really like how they've also integrated more of a story aspect to it rather than the XCOM style where you're kind of just going out on a mission to save people. The story's pretty secondary in an XCOM game. It's more about just getting to the end and surviving. But in this Gears game, it does seem like they've weaved in some story moments, and yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I definitely will keep playing. Now, I think last week I said it was on Xbox One, but it's actually not. It's only on PC. So that is a limiting factor for people that don't have a PC that can run Game Pass games. But yeah, it looks great. Feels good. Definitely is an upgraded look, I would feel. It basically feels like Gears 5 in tactics mode, and it's great. And then Streets of Rage 4 is basically Streets of Rage 3 and 2 with a new art style, kind of cell shaded, definitely higher fidelity animations, but a lot of the same enemies returned from what I remember from the old games. The sound effects are identical to what I remember from Streets of Rage 2 and 3. Enemy movements very similar. It's just fun. I don't know why I'm enjoying it. It seems like it would be so straightforward and easy, but I mean, I was playing on easy, which maybe helped. But yeah, it really captured that Streets of Rage mode. I don't know. I don't know how long the game is or if it's going to get kind of frustrating down the road, but so far I'm enjoying it 2.5 stages in.
And that has co-op too, right?
Yeah, I think I saw that it's 4-player local and 2-player online.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Gears Tactics is coming to Xbox eventually, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I've just been chipping away at Final Fantasy VII Remake. I didn't make a solemn vow, but I broke my promise to beat it by this Friday or today when we're recording, and I'm close. I got 2 chapters left, but I've been doing all the side quests, all the extra stuff. Chapter 14 is a bitch. It's really long. Overall, I'm loving the game. A few things. One, and this probably goes for the original, the materia system is a flawed system. And my reasoning for this, while I do like the combat a lot, my biggest frustration, well, second biggest frustration, is the nature of materia. Okay, so my issue with the materia system is, and it doesn't matter from a lot of the battles, but when you get into a boss battle or really difficult battles, if you have the wrong materia equipped, you're fucked. And you don't know it until you try it, maybe fight the boss for 5 or 10 minutes, and then, I guess I got to reconfigure all my materia just for this boss. And it's kind of annoying. And then I get to another encounter and now I got to reconfigure it all again or reconfigure it for exploring or whatever I'm doing. So, I mean, I don't hate it, but I do find that pretty frustrating, that this nature of trial and error with stuff where, most games, it's like you get to a boss, you start to discover patterns or learn about it, and you improve over the course of the boss. And if you're good, you have a chance to beat the boss the first time. Where having to re-equip and swap materia for every fight, which I'm assuming I'm going to have to do for like every 10 minutes on hard mode, is really annoying. And it's not that big of a factor, but certain boss fights, it's definitely been like I fight it for 10 minutes and then I'm like, oh, I have no chance. And then you switch materia and it takes 2 minutes. So it's not even an exercise in skill sometimes. It's an exercise in equipping the right stuff. And the problem is you can't predict what the weaknesses of a boss are going to be until you get to it and assess it. So, I mean, unless you played the game before, it's a really like flawed design, in my opinion.
So I would say it's worse than the original, mainly because you didn't have the assess materia, and you also didn't have the ability to just reload the game from the start of the previous battle.
True, 100%.
You basically had to hope you saved it somewhat close by.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, my criticisms apply to both games. For me, when I replayed the first one, or the original, I should say, it wasn't that big of a deal because I was grinding to level up where it mitigated those effects, where I still had a chance just based on my level, where this game is scaling enemies based on your level. So you can't kind of grind to overcompensate. So that's not as big of a deal. So that is a little annoying. I wish you could like that. I guess it ties in with overall the game is great, but I do find there's weird spikes in difficulty where I get into some fight and I'm just like, where did this come from? And I have to kind of rethink what I'm doing. I do like as I'm playing more, I'm starting to understand the combat system more and the abilities of the different characters. And I think that's really good. I just kind of get annoyed with equipping and unequipping materia at times. And it's not a deal breaker, but it is a problem.
So I don't know how you treat it, but how I treat it is I basically do like one type per character. So I don't have fire on everybody. I'll have fire on just one person, and then I'll have lightning on the other. So I have like sort of a diversified materia portfolio, I guess you could say.
I guess, but in this game, it's a problem because those characters attack automatically. So if a character has an immunity or absorbs an element and, they attack it automatically, you can't control that, then it's screwing you over in the grand scheme of things. But whereas in the other one, you could like do something else. You could do an attack versus magic or something like that. And this one, you don't have that option. And another complaint would be kind of the lack of a gambit system or something like that for telling non-controlled characters what to do. I don't mind switching back and forth, but sometimes I'm just like, why are they doing this? I just want them to stay away. And you don't have that option. I mean, the only version of a gambit system is auto cure materia, which I find they cure later rather than earlier. And I'd rather cure earlier because I find reacting to enemy attacks is not very predictable. Like they say what attack they're going to use. And I do get frustrated when I use my MP to just get staggered and I lose it completely. But I know you might say, just get good. It's a little frustrating.
The one thing I do like about the materia system is I do like the level up
me too.
ability of it. I really like that style where you actually have to like put in the work to get the magic to another level. But I understand your frustration. I remember when I first played the game, that really frustrated me. That materia system was such a break from the traditional, basically just level up your guy. And when he gets to a certain level, he'll gain a certain magic, especially in Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy VI, I guess, was a little step in this direction where you had to equip the Esper and then learn it, but then you had it for the rest of the game. So this is sort of like the next level where they're abstracting the magic away even more. So it's definitely a change, and especially at the beginning where you only have a limited amount of weapon slots, you really have to pick and choose, especially in the remake where they're just like throwing a shit ton of materia at you all the time.
I do love materia in general, like the idea of slotting it into stuff, like just conceptually, and especially in the remake, like the models of the weapons have the slots built into them and you can see your materia. All those polished details are amazing. So don't get me wrong. These are kind of small points of contention, except for one. There is a section with these. Have you gotten to the robot arm puzzle yet in the collapsed highway?
No, I'm only on chapter 8, I think.
It's chapter 10. It is the worst section of a video game I think I've played in 10 years. It is awful. It is so slow. If you make a mistake, it takes like 5 minutes to undo your mistake. The controls are unintuitive. You have to get so into the designer's head. The perspective of these puzzles, you can't switch the camera. It is awful. And it probably cost $200,000 to $400,000 to make this section. It apparently, well, that section, I don't know if you remember it in the original game. It's like where those hands are like bridging sections. It's a really long section that people like hate because you can get lost in it and you have to take a very specific path and it's not obvious what you can go up and under and all this stuff. So I don't know if it's intended to be frustrating, to be a meta commentary or throwback to the first game. I have no idea, but it sucks. That needed to be cut right at the beginning, right at the end of that whole section. Snip, snip, bye-bye. There's no reason for that to be in this game. It is brutal. I'm sorry. It is awful. And other than that, I'm loving the game. Almost done. Combat has really grown on me. When we did the demo, I was like, I don't know how, it feels almost on autopilot. I don't know what's going on. The more that I play it, the more I like it.
Yeah, the combat is awesome.
And it looks amazing. Like the effects are fucking insane. They're so good.
Yeah, have you played Kingdom Hearts?
I've played the original. I have not played 3 or 2.
Right, because I don't know, people are saying it's similar to Kingdom Hearts, but I haven't played Kingdom Hearts, I think, since the original as well. So I'm interested to see how similar they are.
I mean, it's kind of similar from what I remember.
Yeah.
I want to play Kingdom Hearts 3, but I'm like, I have to go back and play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. And I know by the time I'm done Kingdom Hearts 1, I'm not going to want to play any more Kingdom Hearts. That's my dilemma of being insane. Other than that, really good. Looking forward to finishing that off. But that's it for me. So next week, hopefully we have a lot of next gen content to talk about. Should be a big week.
Oh yeah.
If you're listening, start gearing up. Start moving that needle, bud. It's coming.
Getting serious next week.
Shit's getting real. Well, the drought is over. Hopefully we're going to have lots to talk about. There's always lots to talk about, but really juicy stuff to talk about. All right, let's wrap it up. That's it. Take care. See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Sorry, keep reminding. I forget to say, go to the Facebook page and the Twitter and all that stuff. I'll try to get better at that.
It's all good.
Say it right now. You can edit it in.
No.
It's got to be spontaneous.